In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to maximize your observation haki in literally one day, and how to get the exact race you want without spending a single dollar. These are some of the craziest Blox Fruits tricks that pros abuse that you don't. So everybody knows that observation haki is one of the most useful things in the whole game, but it is one of the hardest things to level up. But I'm going to be showing you guys a little trick to help you get your observation haki to max in no time. So all you have to do is hop over to any NPC that activates your observation haki, but preferably close to where you have your spawn point set, and what you do is you just let them hit you with your observation on. And once you've used up all your dodges, all you have to do is simply server hop. And the reason you want to server hop instead of waiting for your dodges to restore is because server hopping literally only takes like 10 seconds, and waiting for your dodges to restore takes a lot more. And once you've server hopped, you just repeat the process over and over until you get the max amount of dodges possible. But keep in mind, don't forget to upgrade your observation haki to V2 because it's a lot better than V1. And this trick is for you Buddha users out there. So what this trick lets you do is make a giant sword. And some of you might be thinking, wait, what? You make a giant sword in Blox Fruits? Well, all you have to do is transform into the Buddha. And then when you hold your sword, it should show you a way bigger version of the sword. The first thing you want to do is unequip your sword and go into the Buddha fruit. And once you have the Buddha fruit equipped, all you have to do is undo your transformation right as you switch to your sword. And what this lets you do is basically be in the untransformed version of the Buddha, but you still keep the long range that you get. Did I also mention that it looks really cool, especially with the triple swords? Overall, it's just a pretty funny trick that you can use to grind without being transformed or just to troll your friend. Okay, so this trick is for those of you that are still in the first sea and are looking to grind some bounty really fast. So all you have to do is head over to Upper Sky Islands, but make sure that you actually hit the level requirement, and Upper Sky Islands is a place that you completely cleared. And once you're here, you'll notice that there are two boss spawn locations. One is right next to the teleporter and the other one's on the second island. And everybody knows that bosses are the NPCs that hire your bounty. So all you have to do is kill the first boss over here and then walk over to the second guy and then kill him. And then all you have to do is simply server hop and just keep repeating this method over and over until you reach max bounty. And this is one of the few places in the whole of Blox Fruits where there are two bosses located in the same place. So make sure you abuse it while it's still here. So everybody knows about the rubber fruit in Blox Fruits. It's a legendary fruit and overall a pretty decent and cool fruit. But did you know these two secret things about the rubber fruit literally make the fruit really overpowered? So since it's a rubber fruit, it's completely immune to electric attacks and the rumble fruit. And the reason for this is that in real life, rubber does not conduct electricity. So the rubber fruit is completely immune to people that use the rumble fruit and electric fighting styles, such as the electric and the electric claw. And since electric claw is one of the best fighting styles in the game, it's gonna make it really hard for players with that fighting style to fight against rubber users. And that's not the only thing, it's also completely immune to gun attacks. Can you imagine a complete category of weapons in Blox Fruits cannot do damage to rubber users? That makes the rubber fruit one of the most overpowered fruits in the game, especially if you're grinding against users that use a gun. Or if you know that somebody's a gun main and you want to take them on in PvP, you should definitely equip the rubber fruit. And did I also mention how cool the fruit looks when you transform? It's really crazy. So the first thing everybody wants to do once they've bought their haki is obviously level it up. And if you want to hit two birds with one stone, you should be grinding out raids. And the reason for this is that there's a ton of enemies in every single raid, and when you increase the difficulty, it gets even harder. And depending on your level, I recommend you guys keep doing raids over and over, because not only do you get the benefits of the raids like fragments, you also continuously keep leveling up your haki. And this is really good because you're basically doing two things at once. I mean, you could also grind quests, but you can't really awaken fruits by grinding quests, can you? And the fragments are also a pretty good benefit to this. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about the most overpowered sword in the whole of Blox Fruits. I'm talking about the SABER V2. And the way you get that is by doing the jungle puzzle in the first sea. And this is pretty easy, and anybody with the level requirement can get it done really fast. But to upgrade it to version 2, you need to get a 1 million bounty, and you must kill another player with around the same level or higher that has a million or more than a million bounty. There are no other requirements to upgrade it to version 2, making it something that players can get pretty easily. And once your saber evolves, you'll get a message saying something weird has occurred to your saber. And then once you check it, it should be upgraded to version 2. And the version 2 of the saber is the most overpowered sword in the game because of its potential for PvP. It literally does the most damage out of every sword in the game. It has two abilities. The first one is called Deadly Rush, and this one has a 50 mastery requirement. And the X ability is called Triple Slash, and this has a 125 mastery requirement. And a really good thing about this sword is that you literally only need a 125 mastery requirement for this, making it a lot better than most fruits in the game. Okay, so this trick is for players that are either really low level or completely new to Blox Fruits. And this trick is going to let you get whatever race that you want. So everybody knows that on joining the game, there are 4 different races that you can get: human, angel, mink, and shark. And every player has a 50% chance of spawning in as a human. But if you want to get one of the other 3, all you have to do is keep making new Roblox accounts until you get the exact race that you want. And since Roblox accounts are completely free to create and you don't even need an email, it should be pretty easy. But keep in mind, you can change your race later on. So for some of you, it might not be worth to create a completely new Roblox account just to get the race that you want on Blox Fruits. Everybody knows that sea beast hunting is one of the best ways to farm money in this game. I know a lot of you are wondering, how do you actually kill sea beasts really easily? Because for 90% of players, it's really hard to be able to solo sea beasts, and it gets even worse if it's rumbling waters. So the best loadout to have for when you're fighting sea beasts is the shark race and magma v2. And the reason for this is that the magma v2's abilities are just really overpowered and specialized for sea beast hunting. And the shark race basically just lets you move around in water way faster. And did I also mention that you can literally swim in water even if you have a devil fruit equipped in, which is really cool. When you use any of the magma v2 abilities, it leaves behind this huge blob, and what this does is it does damage over time. So if the sea beast stays in the same place, it keeps taking damage from the magma remains left by your attack. And on top of that, you can spam even more attacks, dealing even more damage until the sea beast is finally killed. So this next trick is something that I've kind of shown before. Everybody knows that the way to AFK grind HAKI is to equip the Logia fruit and stand on the spawn point of a user that does not have HAKI, and then equip the really bad sword and just pummel them till they die over and over again. What if you don't have a Logia fruit? For example, Buddha users out there that are still trying to finish the game, you definitely don't want to switch from the Buddha fruit to something else. All you have to do is do the exact same thing, but you go to the starter island on the first sea, and then when you stand on the spawn point of an enemy, they won't push you away and they barely do any damage, so you can regenerate it back in no time. And then all you have to do is equip the bad sword and do the trick exactly like normal, and it should work exactly the same. But this version is kind of worse because you kill the enemies a lot faster. I mean, they are literally enemies from the first island, so the Logia farming method is definitely better. So everybody knows that if you buy the faster boats game pass, you get boats that go a lot faster, and the enforcer boat, literally the fastest boat in the game. But what if I told you there was a way to use these boats without buying the game pass? Well, all you need is a friend that actually does have the game pass, and you ask him to spawn in the boat for you. And once he does that, you can kind of just hijack it and drive wherever you want. But you also might be wondering, if you're someone with the game pass and you're trying to spawn in the boat for your friend, and they just steal it and run away, what would you do? Well, all you have to do is simply spawn in a new boat, and basically what this does is despawn the boat that your friend is on, so your friend just drowns. So remember, when you ask your friend if you can use their boat, make sure you don't make them angry, because then they can just drown you. And now this trick is for players that are more newer to the game. Basically, when everybody starts playing the game and you complete your quest, you just start fighting enemies one by one. But here's a trick to make your grinding much faster. All you have to do is equip the gun, because guns are kind of useless, and you shoot every enemy that you see. And what this does is it aggroes your enemy, which makes them walk towards you. And then all you have to do is group them all up. And once they're in a group, you use a bunch of splash damage abilities. I recommend this ability from Sharkman Karate. It's really good for grouping up enemies and killing them. And when they all respawn, you can do the exact same thing over and over again until you completely finish with your quest. Okay, so this next trick is about a fighting style, and I'm talking about Electric Claw. Everybody knows that Electric Claw is one of the best fighting styles in the whole of Blox Fruit. And this is because it's kind of a hybrid fighting style. You can use it for grinding as well as PvP, and it's pretty decent at both of them. But keep in mind that this is the version 2 of Electric, so if you want to upgrade from Electric to Electric Claw, you have to do this quest. And the quest you have to do is located on the Turtle Island in the 3rd sea. And you come over here and talk to this guy named Previous Hero, and he's going to give you a quest to get to the mansion in under 30 seconds. And many of you will find it kind of difficult to just dash over to the mansion because it's a bit hard to do. But there's actually a pretty cool trick to this. All you have to do is equip the portal fruit or the light fruit and just simply teleport or just fly over there in 2 seconds. And this makes makes completing the quest to get the fighting style 10 times easier because you don't even have to walk. You can just zip there in 2 seconds. But keep in mind, you do have to pay 3 million belly and 5,000 fragments, so just make sure you have that ready. Okay, so this trick is gonna help you a ton if you're a second sea player. Instead of setting your spawn point where you actually spawn in the second sea, you should set your spawn point at the half hot and half cold island. And the reason for this is that this place is near everything. A big thing about the second sea is doing raids. And since your spawn point is set right next to the raid place, it should make doing your raids a lot easier because you don't need to walk a huge distance just to do some raids. Unless you have the portal fruit, obviously, because then you can just teleport over. Okay, so this accessory is something that every player in the game should use. I'm talking about the dark coat accessory. This accessory is a mythical accessory, and the way you get it is by defeating the Darkbeard boss. But keep in mind that it only has a 2% chance of dropping. And the way you spawn in the Darkbeard boss is by placing the Fist of Darkness at the dark arena in the second sea. And the things this code gives you is plus 600 energy, plus 600 health, and a plus 15% damage in your Blox fruit. And if you take some really overpowered fruits like the doe and leopard, it just makes them so much better. And also on a side note, this does look really cool. It's one of the best looking accessories in the whole game. So everybody knows that bounty and honor is a pretty important thing in Blox fruits. But I'm gonna be telling you guys some things that you might have not known about them. Did you know that when you reach 2.5 million bounty, you can no longer level up your bounty from bosses or NPCs, and the only way to level up after that is by hunting down players. The players you go after have to be a similar level to you because it's kind of unfair if a max level player is picking on a level 200 player. Players with a 5 to 15 million bounty, when they join a game, it displays a special message to all the members in the server. And the same goes with the even cooler message for players that have a 15 million to 30 million bounty. And to prevent people from bounty farming, you can only kill the same player 3 times to change your bounty every 72 hours. And here's the chart of the overall damage and defense boost. As you can see, players that have a 20 million to 30 million bounty get a 35% defense boost and a 22% damage boost, which is really overpowered. And once you reach 10 million bounty, you can literally summon CBs, which is really cool. And did I mention you can also earn a buttload of titles? Overall, the bounty system is really cool and completely fits Blox Fruits.